Welcome to the Positively Portugal football report for round 10 of the Primeira Liga season. My name is Howie. This week we do not have any European competitions to talk about, only the Primeira Liga, and of course, the 10,000-pound elephant in the room that is Rúben Amorim, who is now officially, it's officially official. He is leaving Sporting to go to Manchester United. So the last two games for Amorim are going to be today against Manchester City, not to be confused with Manchester United. It's a Champions League game. It's his final game at the Alvalade. And his last game is Sunday at Braga, who is the team that he left to go to Sporting. So Manchester United meets the release clause of 10 million euros. They gave Sporting another million to release Amorim's coaching staff and to push up that 30-day release clause. So I think Sporting kind of caved a little too early. They probably could have gotten a few more million out of Manchester United, but that's not where the cost really lies. And I had said last week when we first talked about it on this channel that it didn't make sense for any party involved. It didn't make sense for Amorim. It certainly did not make any sense for Sporting. It still doesn't. It never will. And I really didn't think it made sense for Manchester United either. I thought it would have been more sensible for everybody involved to wait until the season is over. Rúben Amorim is not going to have Victor Gyökeres, Pedro Gonçalves, Marcus Edwards, Trincao. He has a mass accumulation of crap waiting for him at Manchester United. And it leads me to ponder, why is he doing this now? Look at what is on the table for Sporting. Without question, Sporting was well on its way to win their second straight Primeira Liga title, third in the last 5 years. A shot at a domestic double, a shot at a domestic treble. The opportunity to make a lot of noise in the Champions League. You see, this Champions League was happening a little differently. It wasn't one of those Champions Leagues where Portuguese teams were disappointing. And I know every now and then Porto would make a run, but for the most part, it was these Portuguese teams not getting out of the group stage. And Sporting had done very well in the Champions League. They had 2 wins and a draw. We'll see what happens today against the best competition that they've played to date, which will also be the best competition that an Amorim team will play to date, and the last time that an Amorim-led Sporting will play in the Champions League. And there's been talks of how Amorim actually does have an affinity for Manchester United, how it's the job that he wanted. But if you have the opportunity to leave, well, not to leave, but to win these extra trophies, make history, because the history that was involved is that Sporting had a chance to have an undefeated season. That's very hard to walk out on. From a football perspective only, forget about finances, from a football perspective only, you're looking at giving up history, an undefeated season for a team that is on the rise, that is pretty much 100% because of Rúben Amorim. And I know Amorim is not the guy who's out there kicking the ball during the game, but let's face it, before Rúben Amorim, what was Victor Gyökeres? Victor Gyökeres failed at Coventry City in League One in England. League One in England is actually the third division there, behind the English Premier League and the Championship. So I don't know how Amorim got this out of Gyökeres, Nobody else was able to. But I understand that Manchester United was more than tripling Amorim's salary. That being said, the cost of living in Manchester is 1/3 higher than the cost of living in Lisbon. So yeah, there's a big raise, but that raise is not as big as it sounds. And I gotta wonder if Sporting completes this undefeated season, or even if they don't, but they still win at least 2 trophies, one of which was pretty much bound to be the Primera Liga. Think about the offers that Rúben Amorim could have had. And the extra money that he could have made. Because you would have had some really special jobs opening in football. With the way that Real Madrid is playing, for example, there's an excellent chance that Carlo Ancelotti, who just won a Champions League and the Spanish League, will not be back. Now, Manchester United is not a big club anymore. They have not won the English Premier League. They have not been the champions of England since the 2012-13 season. This is now 24-25. It's been 12 years since Manchester United has won the EPL. And guess what? It was not going to happen this year. You could have had Rúben Amorim, you could have had Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, anybody. You could have had God manage Manchester United. They'd still have no chance of winning the Premier League. So what you're looking at is it's going to be a minimum of 13 years from the time that the mighty Manchester United was the best team in England. I'm sorry, this is not a big club anymore. This is a ghost. It's a shadow. It's a shell of its former self. Manchester United is something that belongs in a museum. Now, I'm wondering, is Rúben Amorim that hard up for money? I don't know what's going on there. Is there a gambling issue? Because logic, common sense would tell you if you're going to place a bet, the bet you should place, it should be on yourself. So moving on to the Primera Liga, Sporting played with all the anger in the world, and they took it out on Estrella. It was 5-1 there. Viktor Gyökeres had 4 of those 5 goals. Somebody's coming back for him. They're going to trigger that release clause. Sporting's going to get a lot of money. But between that and losing Amorim, it's going to cost Sporting everything. Benfica 2-1 over Firenze. So Benfica continues to win, and aside from that Champions League slip-up, the results are still there. But they're not playing as well as they've been playing when Bruno Lage first took over. Famalicão 3-2 over AVS. Vitória 1-0 over Moreirense. Nacional with a big upset over Santa Clara. Porto 4-0 over Estoril. Braga 2-1 over Arouca. So the trend continues. Braga continues to do very well domestically, not so much in Europe. Boa Vista with a big 2-1 win at Gil Vicente, and Rio Ave and Casa Pia played to a 2-2 draw. Part of me wants to call Nacional the team of the week for pulling off that upset when they were playing very poorly for a while over Santa Clara, but when you sit down and think about it, Santa Clara was just like Nacional. They're both newly promoted sides. It's just Santa Clara, who was knocked out of a European spot by Nacional in that game, they had just been playing a lot better. But at the end of the day, they're kind of one and the same. So you have to give the team of the week to Sporting, to absolutely demolish the team you're playing under the most adverse circumstances imaginable. It's a credit to everyone involved there, including the manager who's going to be leaving very soon. And that being said, the week's biggest loser, for aforementioned reasons, it's also Sporting. So we're going to take a look at the table now, and what do you know? The more things change, the more they stay the same. Sporting in first, Porto in second, Benfica in third. We have a new fourth place team, and it's Braga. Right behind them is Vitória in fifth. So the 5 teams competing in European tournaments are 1 through 5 again. At the bottom of the table, we have Firenze and Estrela. Arouca is in the relegation playoff. So it looks like things, as much as they're bizarre and controversial and absolutely bonkers in Portugal right now, things are falling into place where the 5 teams who you would expect to be at the top, now they are. So that's all we got here for you this week. If you want more videos about Portuguese football, the process of moving to Portugal, and anything Portugal related, please hit that subscribe button. Like the video, leave a comment, but subscribing to a YouTube channel is the #1 way to help a content creator. I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll be back here pretty soon. Have a good one, everybody.